because there's a few legacy issues that remain from the Harper administration and what many Chinese investors feel as a fairly onerous set of restrictions. Are you any closer to relaxing them?
So we are here in Hangzhou at the G20, but we spent a week in China before that. We've been to Beijing and Shanghai, and we are going on to Hong Kong. So this is quite a long trip to China. It's the Prime Minister's first trip to China. And really this trip is aimed at restoring, refreshing, strengthening the Canada-China relationship. We're quite proud. The Prime Minister has been given a fond nickname in China. He is called Tudou, which I believe means potato, and I can't say the Chinese word, it's Xian Tudou, little potato, because his father, Pierre Elliott Tudou, was senior potato. So we feel we are off to a great start. I do want to thank our Chinese hosts. They've been very, very warm, and we really believe this bilateral relationship between Canada and China is really important for both countries and can be important for the world.
Robert, let's talk about why. Why did Beijing want the Trudeau government to be reelected with a minority?
Well, they believe that the Liberal government is far more sympathetic and would go easier on them than the Conservatives. The Conservatives under Aaron O'Toole have been far more critical of Beijing's growing belligerency around the world and their attitude in Canada. They would have, for example, adopted a foreign agent registry, which would have meant that former politicians or lawyers or lobbyists who are paid by Beijing, of which we do not know that they are, and are doing lobbying on their behalf, including appearing on your show, and you would not know that they're being paid, but they're, pro-Beijing kind of attitudes, we would know that. The other thing is, of course, during that particular time, the Conservatives were also said they would ban Huawei, and the Canadian government in that 2021 election had not banned Huawei, even though our other allies had.
But let me be clear. I do not have any information, nor have I been briefed, on any federal candidates receiving any money from China.
And foreign actors are trying to undermine people's confidence in democracy itself, and amplifying and giving partisan reasons to mistrust the outcome of an election, mistrust the experts at Elections Canada and in our security services and our top public servants who are saying that the election integrity held. That's something that we've seen from elsewhere is not a good path to go down for society or for democracy.
Of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that
establish a public inquiry into Chinese interference in the past two elections as called for by the former electoral officer Jean-Pierre Kingsley.
I think it is a very good thing that Canadians are understanding how serious it is that China and other countries are continuing to try to destabilize and influence our democracies and our institutions. That's why we have continually given new resources and new tools, including a panel and a task force that we set up way back in 2019 to ensure that our election integrity held, that our national security experts are able to do the work that Canadians expect them to do. We welcome the work that committees are doing. We'll continue to work to give all the tools necessary to our national security agencies so that Canadians can continue to be confident that we are taking this as seriously as it must be. And I say again, we are taking this extremely seriously and always have.
Even more massive are the continuing revelations that the regime interfered in 2 successful elections, and finally, that Justin Trudeau knew about all of this. He knew that the regime in Beijing was directing funds to the Trudeau Foundation. He knew that there were supporters of the regime who attended fundraisers at which he was present. He knew through briefing notes that he has received and that his office has been provided, showing the massive interference in both the 2019 and 2021 elections. And what did he do about it? One thing. He appointed a panel and had a report written by someone who was the former head of the Trudeau Foundation, a foundation which received $200,000 of money directed by the regime in Beijing. That's it. No foreign influence registry, no laws to protect the Canadian diaspora community, no laws to shut down the police stations run by foreign governments, no action against foreign interference, and no effort to inform the Canadian people that all of this was happening to our democracy. Justin Trudeau has done nothing but try to intimidate members of CSIS, try to attack the courageous whistleblowers in our intelligence services who've been attempting to speak out. They must, by the way, be very desperate to get the truth out because they are so concerned at Trudeau's failure to respond after years of him being aware of this foreign interference. They would not be bringing all of these details to public light if they were not very concerned about the Prime Minister's personal behavior on this file and his unwillingness to protect Canada's national interest and security.
There are a lot of pressures on our system. Increasing the immigration levels, interestingly, will take some of the pressure off of the system because the stream on bringing in permanent residents has got room to bring in more, and it's when people come as refugees and try to flip or get refugee crisis status that it sort of slows down the system a little bit. So increasing the levels will actually help bring in more people to respond to that.
The Prime Minister has been given a fond nickname in China. He is called Tudou, which I believe means potato, and I can't say the Chinese word, it's Xian Tudou, little potato, because his father, Pierre Elliott Tudou, was senior potato. So we feel we are off to a great start.